My name is Aubrey, and today I wanted to have a discussion video specifically about whether or not special edition books should get reprints. I was inspired to do this video because of these two stunning books right here. These are the Illumicrate editions of Priory of the Orange Tree and A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon. A Day of Fallen Night is a recent release from Samantha Shannon, and both Illumicrate and The Broken Binding did special editions for these books, both of which sold out very, very quickly. I believe that the Illumicrate books sold out in pre-sale, and the Broken Binding books may have gone to general sale, but I think they sold out very, very quickly in general sale. And on Illumicrate's Instagram, and as well as the Broken Binding's Instagram, both companies announced that they would be doing reprints for these books. And the comment section, specifically for the Illumicrate one, I believe that the Broken Binding announced their reprints in their stories, so there was no comment section. But the comment section for the Illumicrate reprint was very interesting, and it got me thinking. I just thought it might be a fun topic for a video, so here we are. Should special edition books get reprints? Let's discuss. So I have Instagram here on my iPad, and I wanted to go through some of the comments. In general, the attitude in the comments was really, really positive. Most people were really excited. Both people who had missed out on the original books and people who had managed to get a copy were still really happy and excited for the people who had missed out. But there were some really interesting, salty comments that I just can't stop thinking about, hence why I'm doing this video. So one person says, is it really a special edition if you keep doing reprints? And another thing that I kept seeing, subscribers of the Illumicrate box lamenting the fact that there was no point to being a subscriber if Illumicrate and these other book box companies were just going to be doing reprints for these special edition books, which I find a bit baffling, but we'll come back to it. Yeah, so just several people, specifically subscribers, being annoyed at the reprints because basically there's no point in being a part of the subscription to ensure that you get access to these special edition books if they're just going to do reprints. A lot of people asking for other sets to be reprinted. There's a lot of that. And then the other type of comment I saw a lot that isn't totally relevant, but I do still want to talk about, is the fact that people feel that unsigned books should be cheaper than signed books. And it's not just Illumicrate and the Broken Binding that have somewhat recently announced reprints. Fairy Loot announced a few different reprints as well. Specifically, they announced a reprint of the original Shatter Me trilogy, a reprint of the Legendborn cycle, a reprint of the Last Hours series. And again, the comment section for these posts have been mostly positive. People really excited who missed out the first time, people being happy for other people who missed out. But, you know, there are definitely similarly some very negative comments complaining about the reprints. A few people complaining that they had bought the set off of a reseller on eBay for a lot of money, and they're annoyed that now the books are being reprinted, which is again something that I really want to touch on because some of those books are much older. So yeah, and again, I really want this to be a discussion, so please leave your own thoughts in the comments, because in this video I'm just going to be talking about my thoughts, but I really want to hear from other people and get a consensus, if there is one, on whether reprints are a good or bad thing, whether people are for them or against them. So yeah, first of all, I feel like specifically for something like this, where the special editions just came out, I think they went on sale in February, we got them shortly after, and then they announced the reprints. Again, for something like this that sold out in pre-sale, it never even went to general sale at all, and the reprints were announced shortly after. I think it's nice. Like, my opinion is that it's a good thing. I like it. I'm excited for all the people who missed out the first time and will hopefully be able to get their hands on either the Illumicrate editions or the Broken Binding editions. I think it's good. I think it's a nice thing. But now I want to talk about something more like Fairy Loot reprinting the Shatter Me series, for example, because I'm pretty sure those books are at least a year old, if not more. I'm guessing that they've decided to reprint those because they are printing the rest of the series, and they probably want to boost the sales of that second half of the series by reprinting the first half, which makes sense. But again, those books have been out a long time, and you do run the risk of upsetting people who, like the commenters that I described earlier, had paid scalper prices for them. So somebody who thought that the books would never get reprinted decided to save up and buy them for a really expensive price, coming to find out that they're getting reprints. I can completely see how that would be really frustrating, you know? And so I think these companies do run the risk of upsetting some of their customers by doing reprints, especially for series that are really old, because the older a special edition set is, probably the higher the value is. But then at the same time, that in itself has kind of become an issue, right? Special edition books have started to skyrocket, and there are certain sets of books that have been out for a while that have just skyrocketed in price, and one might argue that those older series are the most in need of a reprint because of that, in order to keep that, you know, inflation down, basically. So I don't know. I'm really torn about the idea of older series getting reprinted. From a purely selfish standpoint, there are a ton of series that I missed out on because I just didn't know about Illumicrate or Fairy Loot or any of these book boxes. I wasn't plugged into that world until around 2020, so there were like a ton of beautiful books that I missed out on. And of course I would love for them to do reprints so that I could get my hands on them. But at the same time, I'm also not above paying stupid money for books. I mean, I don't do it often, and I try not to, but like, I'm not above it. For example, I bought this copy of Chain of Gold long after the fact, and it was pricey, you know? But it was the most beautiful book I had ever seen, and I wanted it so bad that I splurged. And if I were to find out that Illumicrate was reprinting this book or any of the other books, like, I might feel negatively about that because I did overpay for this quite a bit. But at the same time, it was money that I had. I would personally never like go into debt over something like this. I would never spend money that I didn't easily have. And so even though I overpaid for this, if they were to do a reprint, I think I would still, in general, be happy for the people who were then able to get this book that hadn't. I don't think it would actually bother me that much, but I can see how it would bother some other people. In general, though, I feel like these types of sets that are outside of the subscription, I don't really feel like these book box companies have an obligation to never reprint these books. I do feel like with the subscription itself, there is kind of an unspoken agreement that those books wouldn't be reprinted for any reason. I feel like if these book box companies were to start reprinting subscription books, that would probably be a lot more of a problem. So for example, I'm subscribed to the adult Fairy Loot box, and the very first book that we ever got was the Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. It's this gorgeous special edition with like all the trappings, and they released the second book in a very similar style, and I assume that they will also release the third book to match, but I can't see them ever reprinting this because it was a subscription book. But again, this is something I'm a little bit torn about. I feel like it's a bit of a shame that they wouldn't ever be able to reprint this, first of all because it's beautiful. Second of all, being able to reprint the first book of a series would help sell the second one, right? The Jasmine Throne, for example, was an exclusive hardcover release. It has stenciled edging. We got this in 2021, I believe, and the sequel just came out, again in an exclusive hardcover, stenciled edges and everything. And this one is still available in the shop, and I have a feeling it's probably going to sit there for a while because, again, this is an exclusive hardcover, so you can't even get like a normal hardcover edition of this. Hi. So, it's a different day. I'm in a different dress. I got the Jasmine Throne confused with the Unbroken by C.L. Clarke. So it was the Unbroken that was in fact a paperback only release. The Jasmine Throne did get a hardcover release. I got them confused. In my defense, they came out around the same time and they have very similar color schemes, okay? The Unbroken came out in an exclusive hardcover in the subscription, and later the sequel got a hardcover special edition to match. So yeah, just wanted to clear up any confusion or misinformation. These were the books that only got the hardcover treatment, but the point still stands, so carry on. So if you were to buy this one on its own without having this one, you would have a very mismatched set, right? I know that's not something that I would personally spring for because I need all my books to match, and I think most people wouldn't spring for it either. So it does, I don't know, to some degree, for me, feel like a shame that this would never get a reprint and that people who missed out on this first book will never have a matching set. But, you know, again, this was a subscription book, and I feel like that when you sign up for a subscription and you're getting this special exclusive book, that it is a special exclusive book and it's not the kind of thing that would ever get reprinted. Similarly, Brandon Sanderson's new special edition books that were part of his Kickstarter, these are exclusive hardcovers. The cover is different than what the standard edition will be. It has end papers and illustrations, and when you donated to the Kickstarter, this was one of the perks, getting an exclusive special edition book. And I think if something like this were to ever be reprinted, a lot of people would feel really betrayed by that, because I do to some degree understand the feeling of wanting something special, wanting something unique, and wanting to feel a part of something. If you were one of the people who supported the Kickstarter, you want to feel like you got something special and unique out of that experience. And if they were to do a reprint for something like this and open it up to the public, that might feel kind of shitty, you know? So I totally get that. I really do. I totally get that. But that book, again, was part of a Kickstarter. It was, you know, an event, and I feel like the exclusiveness of that edition was very apparent. For something like this, again, I just don't think that these book boxes owe us limited exclusivity for these. But also, I personally don't feel like what makes a special edition special is its limited quantity. To me, a special edition is special because it has the trappings, you know? It's got the stenciled edges or the sprayed edges. It has beautiful end papers and maybe alternative dust jackets or printed art on the hardcover. Maybe it comes with a ribbon, you know? To me, that's what makes a special edition, and not the fact that it was limited. I mean, I know sometimes, especially with like numbered books and first editions, like I know that there is a culture of book lovers who want something exclusive, something special, something that not just anyone could have. They want signed books, numbered books. I get it, but I don't know. It's just not something that really matters to me. That's where the conversation comes in, because I want to hear from you guys about what you all think about this. So this, The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller, was an anniversary edition, I believe. I sort of think of this as like a type of special edition. It's a hardcover release, beautiful cloth-bound book with a ribbon, and it's got this pretty foiling, and the end papers have this beautiful sheen to it. But, you know, I don't think this book was limited. I think you can still readily find it, and yet it is still beautiful and lovely, and I think I would still consider this a special edition even if it wasn't limited, you know what I mean? But yeah, in general, I do wish that these book box subscriptions would do more of a pre-order model, but you know, I don't work with any of these book box companies. I don't know anyone who works for the book box companies. I don't know how any of this works. And so the only special edition pre-order that I remember was for the Ember and the Ashes series by Saba Tahir. And I can't remember exactly what the story was. I don't know if there was just originally going to be an exclusive set number, and then the demand was so overwhelming that they decided to do a pre-order model, or if they sold out and then there was such a high demand that they decided to open them up for pre-order again. Like, I genuinely don't remember exactly what happened. There was a limited number of signed copies. I do remember that, but I'm pretty sure that for the unsigned copies, it was just a pre-order. Anyone could pre-order, and as many pre-orders as were placed in that chunk of time, that's how many they printed. I do wish that more book box companies did that type of thing, because then, you know, you would have a limited number of signed editions, and so people who really care about author signatures could have their special exclusive signed copy. But, you know, for everyone else who just wants, you know, either they want a hardcover exclusive or they want the stenciled edges or the alternative dust jackets or whatever, you know, anyone could pre-order, and then once the pre-order was over, you know, then you're out of luck. But at the very least, that way, everyone who knew about it and wanted one could get one. I just think that would alleviate some of the heartache that I think a lot of people feel when a set of books sells out in pre-sale or sells out very quickly in general sale. I don't know how realistic that would actually be. So maybe if any of you know if anything like that would be possible, you could let us know, because I'm just coming at this from the perspective of a book collector. So I think for me, I just don't think I lose any personal enjoyment of the books that I have when I think about reprints. It just doesn't really matter to me how many other people have a certain special edition. If every single person on the planet had the special editions that I had, it wouldn't take any enjoyment away for me, because I just love how beautiful they are, and they're no less beautiful if lots of people have them. Like, that just doesn't, it just doesn't matter. They are just still, you know, stunning to look at, and it just makes me happy to have these works of art on my bookshelves, you know? Hi again. So when I was discussing the topic of this video with my fiance, he brought up something interesting that I just thought I would kind of interject here, that he is an avid comic book omnibus collector, and he mentioned that when omnibuses get reprints, typically what the publishers will do is they will give any reprints an alternative cover. He told me to hold this one up. I'm not sure if this one is an alternative cover or if there are going to be future reprints of this that will have a different cover. I don't know. But this is the one he picked out for me to show. So yeah, this is a big comic book omnibus, and if there were future reprints of this, it would have an alternative cover. And I just thought that that was an interesting compromise in terms of doing reprints, because then the original first edition printing of it is very distinguishable from any reprints, and gives people who have the first printing, you know, something rare and special because they have like a specific cover. And so I just wanted to throw that out there in case any of these book box people are listening, that could be a compromise going forward, that if reprints were to become more of a standard part of their business model, that reprints in the future could have alternative covers, or at the very least like a different colorway than the original, or there could just be some little tweak or something different or new about a reprint that would distinguish it from the original, just to kind of appease people who have the original and want to feel like they have something special and unique, because I think that's kind of what this comes down to, is people want to feel like they have something valuable or rare or special, and I think that's fair. So just wanted to add this in. Let's go back to the video. So yeah, personally, I think the idea of people only having a book box subscription in order to gain access to these like exclusive sets is kind of wild. I mean, it's a perk, definitely. It's like a big perk, but I don't know. Personally, I would never be shelling out so much money every month if I wasn't enjoying the books I was getting in the mail. I love my subscriptions very, very much, and I look forward to getting that box every single month. It just fills me with joy. So I was really surprised to see so many comments of people being like, oh, there's just no point to being in the subscription anymore. Why would I be subscribed if you're just going to do reprints? But the other thing that I just briefly wanted to touch on is people commenting that the unsigned copies should be less expensive than the signed copies, and I can see how people would feel this way. However, it's really bad form to charge more money for an author signature. That's just not something you do at the retail level. Barnes & Noble would never charge you more money for a signed book from an author. Waterstones would never charge you more money for a signed copy. So I personally think that it would be a really bad move for any of these book box companies to be charging more money for author signatures. It's just not something that's done. It's something that makes a book more valuable on the resale market, but in terms of standard pricing, no booksellers should be charging more for signed copies. So yeah, those are my thoughts on that. But yeah, I hope this video was interesting to you. I just found it to be really fascinating to see all the different reactions people were having to this. I just kind of wanted to open up the discussion to see what other people thought about this, because I just don't know. I don't know if I'm in the minority, if most people think that reprints should not happen. I don't know. You can let me know in the comments. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please give it a like and subscribe if you want to see more from me. I hope to see you next time. Bye.